go back to the 90s!
Boom shakalaka!
My calculations are correct. When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
My flows hit you at straight 88 miles per hour, that's enough to generate 1.21 gigawatts, son, and I'm on the run from the Libyans. It was a straight jack move for plutonium, and when they van rolls up, it's pandemonium. 1:18 a.m. at Twin Pines Mall is when I can pinpoint my total downfall. Now they say that
Greetings and salutations, and you're tuned into Nostal-Ged. Today I'm joined by a very special guest, character actor Chris Edgerly. Chris, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm hydrating.
I've got to keep hydrated, especially where are you, California?
Yeah, we're in Southern California. You know, it's that desert heat. It's not so bad where we are, but I have, let's see, I'm English, Scottish, Irish, as far as I can tell. So I was not meant, you know, and when I had hair, it was red. So it was not meant for the desert.
Well,
So,
I've still got quite a bit, but it's once it starts going, I'm just going to shave it off. It's gone.
yeah, just do the shave. You know,
I don't want to be that guy.
Here. Yeah, well,
yeah.
So you're lucky you can grow a big beard. I had to find the right beard oil. I had a friend tell me, my brother told me, he said, look, you've got to get the right beard oil. And that way it doesn't itch the heck out of your face when it comes in. And so it works, but I noticed that I do better having a beard because my skin is so fair that if I'm bald and I'm clean shaven, it's just too much face. It's too much face. It's too much head. It has to be cut with something, you know? So
mine's just laziness. Even though I do hear on the train people whispering, is that guy off Game of Thrones?
And you should say, yes, it is. Would you like it
I'll take his credit.
Yeah, exactly.
Chris Edgerly, so much we could talk about. Usually when I'm doing these things and I do an intro, we've done it before. Oh, I did a Mighty Duck. I did a Star Trek crewman. I had a guy who was a Lost Boy in Hook. For yourself, it's not so easy to do that because you've been in so many things that me and the Nostal-Ged fans love. Just to reel off a few, Harvey Birdman, Drawn Together, which Drawn Together is one of my favorites. I think it's just missed its window. Now you see things on Netflix like, Hoops and Growing Up and things like that. It was a bit dark at the time. It just missed its window, but I love Drawn Together. That's one of my favorites. Duck Dodgers, you're in Kenan and Kel. Naruto's a big part as well. All our anime fans. Clone Wars, Star Wars, massive. Like, you guys have been in so many things. It's hard to key down the one thing where I go, oh yeah, you're that guy.
Well, it's a combination of things. All but one of those credits you listed were voiceover credits, voice acting. The Kenan and Kel was when I still did on-camera stuff, and that was 25 years ago, and it was a blast. And I love seeing both Kenan and Kel go on to have very successful careers. I think Kel Mitchell still does a lot of stuff on Nickelodeon. Kenan Thompson, obviously, is I think the longest tenured Saturday Night Live cast member in history. And just, I knew them both when they were just young teens. You know, I didn't know them well, but I managed to do a couple episodes of the show and a couple episodes of All of That where they were starting. And I thought, you know, these kids are really talented and they're handling it well, because that's a lot of attention on you when you're that young and you're performing, and there are producers and directors and audiences and all of that. And I thought I would have never handled it as well as they did. And that was one of my last on-camera credit was a Kenan and Kel from like 98. The rest is voice acting, and I'm a little bit older. And so, you know, as you accumulate these titles over time, it's just, you're just working steadily, which I'm very happy to do, but they add up. And then before you know it, 20 years later, somebody's saying, oh, you were in this and this.
Some jerk on YouTube who does a nostalgia video is like, oh yeah, remember this, remember that.
Yeah, exactly. And those were all fun jobs to do. I agree with you on Drawn Together. It's a show that at the time I would tell the writers, I think it was, let's see, I think it was Jesser and Silverstein, or it might have been Besser and Silverstein, the two writers and creators of it. I said, you guys are so gleefully offensive on this show. You are so targeting every single just trope that there is in the reality show world and just in culture in general. And I said, aren't you worried somebody's gonna like finally get really mad? And they said, no, nobody has, because we do it so often, they don't know where to start. You know, and they said, we're like the boy who cried wolf. Nobody even bothers anymore because they would go over the line so often every episode that I think, yeah, people who might have been offended didn't know where to start.
So it's okay to be offensive, just be consistent.
Yeah. Well, like South Park, when's the last time somebody actually tried to protest South Park? It's a complete waste of time. They would just eat you for breakfast if you tried to say you were offended by something they did. You know?
Absolutely. It's just, you just come off looking even worse.
Yeah, exactly. They'll just make an episode about it. So it is strange how that works. And I guess it's all in, yeah, like you said, your consistency. If you're always doing it, people would just go, what's the use?
Can I tell you my personal favorite highlight of your career?
Sure.
So far, you're still young.
So far.
Celebrity Deathmatch. I love Celebrity Deathmatch. It's one of them shows I grew up with, and it's still going, still was going. Still see it on MTV. Obviously, you're Nick Diamond, the guy that comes out. I love Nick Diamond. That's my homeboy, that is.
Well, it's funny how that came about, because the original Celebrity Deathmatch was claymation, and I didn't have anything to do with it. I think that was even a non-union show.
Yeah.
And then they brought it back around 2005, and Mills Lane was unable to participate. I think his health was not good. And they didn't use anybody from the original show. So I auditioned to voice match Mills Lane and Nick Diamond, and I got both of them. So I would do referee Mills Lane, you know, and I'd do that voice for him. And then for Nick Diamond, I just, for some reason, could do his voice, you know, pretty much like the old Nick Diamond. And I have to admit, that show, until The Simpsons came along, which is the greatest job I'll ever have. I get to do random voices on there from time to time. But until that came along, the most fun I had ever had recording anything was doing Peter Potamus for Harvey Birdman, and every single episode of Celebrity Deathmatch. It was so much fun, because every episode you had 3 matches, so 2 celebrities fighting. So you had 6 celebrities, and we would have 6 different voice match actors come in. So they were all, you know, auditioning and hired to do that one particular celebrity. So we would do 3 segments, and each time we would have 2 fresh voice actors come in. And sometimes they were people I knew that I'd worked with. And just the laughs we had, that I got to sit there and almost just be a fan of them. I would do my Nick lines, and I would look over and watch them record and do their voice. And I was just so in love with the process. I laughed so hard. And that was another show that was just over the top offensive and did not care.
I love Celebrity Deathmatch. It's so great. I mean, you mentioned doing Mills Lane voice. That's got to be so much different from everything else, because everything else you're playing a character. And then you're stepping into a real person, Mills Lane, legendary boxing referee. You know, he did the Mike Tyson matches and everything. Right. You know, is that weird? Or is it just like you kind of got to honor him, and it's weird?
Yeah, I talked to my wife about this. My wife is a musician and a singer, and I am in awe of musicians that can just pick up instruments and play them. And I know that they've practiced, but some people can just sing and hit notes, and they do it without practice. And some people can pick up a guitar and they just fundamentally understand it. They understand how to hit those notes. They need very little practice. They're just naturals at it. And I believe that everyone has some skill at which they are naturally inclined. They can do it, and other people look at them and say, I don't get how you can just do that. And the person will look at them and say, I don't get it either. It's natural. So that my thing that I am a natural at is manipulating my voice. And I don't know why, that I can just sort of go from Nick Diamond to referee Mills Lane. It's just something I do with my voice. I just sort of tighten up my throat and rasp, and there he is, and put in a little bit of Southern accent. He's from around the same place I am. And Nick Diamond is a bit more studied and deliberate and slower paced. And then I pinch, he's a little nasally, higher up in the register, and there we are. And I don't know how I can do it. I could technically describe how it's done, but I don't know why I can just do it without warming up. And you will find that with a lot of voice actors, I'm sure. We just do it.
It's a great way to make a living if you can just do it.
Yeah, it's lousy advice. How do you do that? I don't know. I just do it. You know? Like, well, thanks for the tip.
For classical training, you're just like, just wing it.
Yeah, I just do it. Yeah, I mean, well, how can Mariah Carey hit those notes? She just can. She just has that range.
You mentioned earlier the Simpsons being a big highlight of yours. I mean, for a voice actor, that's got to be like the pinnacle. I mean, that's like the Super Bowl, right? I mean, getting to be on the Simpsons.
It is. Every single episode is like getting to play in the Super Bowl, and you're sitting there and you're basically looking at Tom Brady, like 5 or 6 Tom Bradys, because the cast are all wonderful. They have imbued these characters with so much life and story and history and texture, and they're all wonderful to watch work. And I feel like I've won the lottery every time I get to be a part of the show, even a teensy tiny little part of the show. I feel like it's an absolute lottery ticket for me. So I couldn't say enough about not just the people in the show, but the people who work on the show, from the engineers to the writers, the directors, the staff, everybody top to bottom is just, they're the best. So and it's a boring answer to give, but it really is the best work environment that you could be a part of. That my wife has gone with me to a couple of table reads back pre-pandemic when we were doing them in person. And she said, I love being at these table reads, watching people at the peak of their profession operate. And it is a well-oiled machine. And it really is like, it would be like getting on the pitch with Man U or Man City, depending on your allegiance, thinking,
well, I'm from Manchester, so it's Man City.
Man City. Okay.
Man United fans are from everywhere else. Manchester fans are Man City fans.
Man City, gotcha. I hear you. So it would be like just sitting on the pitch with them, thinking, I can't believe what I'm seeing. I can't believe what I'm watching them do, and that's what it's like.
Yeah, that's amazing. Voice acting's taken you other places as well as TV and films, though. Gaming is now a big part as well.
Yes.
And you've been, I mean, we're saying Simpsons is the pinnacle. I mean, gaming, you've been in Halo, World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy, Assassin's Creed, Kingdom Hearts. That's one of my favorites. Love that game. I mean, those are like the pinnacle of gaming as well.
They are. And I think if you hang around long enough, especially in voice acting, and if you're capable, if you're competent, I mean, there are lots of really talented voice actors out there. So there are more than enough people to be able to do the job. But there are also a lot of projects always being developed, always working. And the great thing about all these wonderful actors and all these wonderful projects being out there is that I firmly believe there's work enough for everybody. And so all these titles you mentioned, every single title contains a roster of people that I either know or have worked with, and there's so much overlap. And so it seems like, you're talking to a unicorn. Oh, how can you have been in all these things? I got so many friends who have been in all those things and other things. So I hate to dispel the glitter, but you can find quite a few voice actors that have been as consistently present in projects that are that large as I have. And I think it's a feature of just being, again, I'm pretty good at the job. I by no means put myself at the top, but I'm good enough where I'll keep popping up. They'll find something for me to do. Like, I'm not the star of any of those games, but you'll find my career is a long list of me just sort of popping up and things. Oh yeah, there's Edgerly again. There's Edgerly. Is he the star? No, he's like 8th down the cast list, but he's there. I've made a career out of that.
I mean, that must be amazing getting to catch up with people as well. I mean, is it weird now in 2021, especially after the pandemic? Do you see your career changing now? I mean, I was lucky enough, because of the pandemic, I was working from home and I had the time to finally do this whole YouTube thing, even though I've been thinking about it for years.
Right.
Now, with the voice acting, do you see things going back to normal? Or do you see, obviously with technology the way it is now, do you see voice acting being home recorded more and things like that?
I think it will never go back to being completely what it was, because since March of 2020, we all had to very quickly learn how to record completely from home because it just wasn't safe otherwise. There were people that were going in after the production would follow very extensive protocols, and that did happen. I have friends who are just technologically, they are not confident in dealing with all of that from home. So they would go in and take lots of precautions. But most of us, we discovered the wonders of Source Connect, which is an app that you can get for your computer and record with any studio in the world. And as long as you had a good sound setup at home, then you can make it work. And because of that, I have a couple of colleagues who have moved out of state. They can live anywhere, and they'll come back if things return more to normal. But so many of their jobs they could do from home, and now they find that they're able to consistently. So I think a part of the industry will never return because they will discover that, you know what, it's cheaper to just get these actors to record from where they are than to rent studio space for however many days we might need them. But that being said, I am going to go back into a studio, I believe next week, for a very brief session, but I am fully vaccinated. And I wouldn't have done it if I wasn't fully vaccinated. And if I didn't personally know the production, this was a show I had worked on before, and I know that they really mind their P's and Q's. So if I trust the production, then, and if I have a history with them, then yes, I can go back in. I think some of that's going to come back because it might make it easier for certain productions, but for a lot of it, I see no reason why people would want to go back into a studio if they can do it from home and not worry about a commute. So, and I think that's true the world over. I don't think the world's going to be the same after this.
Do you miss it? Just sitting around the table, doing table reads, things like that. Do you miss that side of things?
I definitely miss that. And I look forward to hopefully the time when I can go back to a live table read, because it's wonderful to see those people. It's wonderful to be in the room, to get that live energy. There's just something different about having a room full of people reacting to a script as it's read in real time. And the writers are there taking notes, and they can build on what happens in that room. When you do it virtually, you still get reactions, but there's just something about being live. And I think it even helps the performances. I think that every now and then at a table read, you'll catch something happening almost on the spur of the moment. And it's because of that chemistry that exists in person. Absolutely. So I miss that. I miss being in studios. I love jawing with the engineers and the writers and taking a break in between setups and then just relaxing and maybe having a little hot tea and just chatting and then getting back to work. I'm a very social person. Yeah. So I do miss that aspect of it.
Well, hopefully the world gets back to normal-ish soon, Chris.
Ish, yeah.
We're pretty much there. The pubs reopened last week for us, so we're all back at the pub now in England for the football. So
yeah, you gotta have that.
Gotta get that on the pub. Chris, thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure. Take care, Chris. All the best.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure, and let's do it again sometime.
Absolutely. A bit further down the line, we'll find something to do together.
All right.
Take care, buddy.
Take care.